Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to Know Your Gear QA Live, number 234. We did it. 234. We did it. Anyways, I'm in a good mood today. So I hope this show is going to be funnier than normal because I'm in a really good mood. All right, so and I have some exciting stuff. So a lot of cool stuff, some serious topics, fun stuff, a little kind of stuff to go through. Plus, of course, whatever subjects you guys pull out of your hat to talk about, and we'll get into that. First of all, of course, if you're new to the show and you want to get my attention, please put a question mark at the beginning of the comment so I know it's directed towards me. I try to see them when I can. If you want a super chat, I try to get to all the super chats that I can. So please, I appreciate all of those, all that support. Today's early because I have to get off the air a little early. I guess we could call it air. It's an old-timey thing to say. I'm on the air. I'm on the interwebs. Anyways, we have to get off a little early today, so it will be about the same timeline, same time frame, but for me it'll be early because we get off. We're getting on a little early. We'll get off a little early. That'll help me for some family stuff. So that's what's up with that. And what else? And of course, if you're listening to it as a stream, you probably won't hear this because that gets edited out. It's a habit. I keep saying I'm talking to the people who stream it, but the streams are edited. They're not entire broadcasts of this live show. They're edited down smoother. They're more polished, if you will. Which brings me to a great subject, a fantastic subject. And so that's what we have, something exciting to share today. But first, I want to tell you why I'm sharing it, because we did something. We did it. We did something that I don't know how we did, and I don't know why it's happening, but it's happening. The show, which has been continually growing now since its inception, at obviously up to 234 episodes, has been up almost 20% from normal views and streams in the last 60 days. The last 60 days, we have done epic numbers. Epic meaning we're up 18%, but 18% all of a sudden growth. It's pretty cool. Probably a combination of the new edited podcasts for the Spotify and all those platforms, and maybe the pod clips. Maybe they're bringing in some new folks, and that's kind of what I wanted to say. Obviously, it means there's new folks, so I want to say welcome to everyone who's new, and let you know if you're here early. I'm going to be doing a giveaway while we're on live today, something cool, and so when we're ready to do that, I'll wait till more people are on, of course, so that way more people get an opportunity to win this stuff that we figured out, and I'll tell you what's going on with that. What else? We have subjects, but let's get into the subjects that you guys want to talk to us. We have the first question of the day was for Randall Vandergriff, who says, "Thank you, Philip, for everything you do." Hey, I'm just here with you hanging out. We're just hanging out. It says, vintage 1980s West Tone guitar thoughts. Woo, West Tone. Does some of us remember West Tone? It probably means different things to different people. To me, West Tone was what we got where I grew up. Where I grew up, there wasn't name brands. One store in town had name brands maybe, and you couldn't go in that store. And so all the stores in town that you would go to would have Alvarez, West Tone, which is both distributed by St. Louis Music Company. Series 10 guitars also distributed, I believe, by St. Louis Music. And so the stores were all interesting back then, where you would walk in the store, and back then we're talking about the 80s, 90s, okay? So 80s, 90s. What would happen is you would walk in a store, and that store would be a Peavey store, and it would have lots of Peavey. Or a store would be like a St. Louis Music store, and if it was St. Louis Music, it would have like Crate, Ampeg, Audio Centron, West Tone, Alvarez, Series 10, I think that's it, but there might be something else too. So that's all brands. And so to you, you'd walk in a store and you'd be like, oh, there's all these brands, but really it was sourced by one company, like St. Louis Music Company. Or you would go to a Kaman, K-A-M-A-N, Kaman, and Kaman, we used to call it Cayman back, but it's not, it's Kaman. And Kaman would sell like Vester, I think they did CMC amps. You know what I mean? And what was the other brand that was like the knock? Oh, Sigma? No, Sigma was Martin. But it was like all those brands like that. GTX was one. Oh, Applause, Ovation. Oh, yeah. So Hamer, Ovation, Applause, GTX, Vester, I think. I could be wrong on that one. And so what would happen is you would go in these stores and, like I said, they'd have all these brands, but really they were all getting them from one source. And maybe they had a couple of their brands. So stores had like 3 or 4 brands, companies that they were paying to. Takamine. Darth is saying, Marcus is saying Takamine as well. Takam, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. They're all conglomerates of these brands. And like PB was one of those brands that literally had so many products, basses, PAs, drums, acoustics, that it could be a one-stop shop for a lot of stores. So the stores like I remember who had PV where I grew up, they had PV and they had Ibanez and then somebody would have like Fender. And that would be the high-end store. You didn't see Fender. Like I said, we walked in and you would see, like I said, you would see the off-brands. So Westone, what I remember about Westone was wanting a Westone. Westone was actually slightly out of my price range when I was a kid. That was even too expensive. So Westone was like the copy. They had copies that looked exactly like Ibanez's or whatever was hip at that time. And very cool guitars. I remember they had a carbon fiber guitar that was made by Moses graphite. That was a really nice neck. And they did that too. S. Gossett says, my first guitar was a GTX. Dude, the GTX, remember the GTX did a knockoff of the Vernon Reid Hamer. If you guys ever come across those, I wish I should have grabbed one once because I remember they were $300. And I'm like, what am I going to do with that thing now for $300 in today's market? That's a cool guitar to hang on the wall. It's like a piece of art. Because you can't get the Vernon Reid guitar, that's for sure. It's too expensive if you can find one from Hamer. But like I said, so that's what those brands were. So what do I think of the vintage Westone? Well, it's weird to say vintage to me because I'm like vintage, but yeah, I know what you mean. It's vintage in that theory. All the ones I played were pretty good guitars. A lot of them are. I think maybe some were made in Japan. Maybe I don't remember any specifically that I've ever played, but most of them were made in Korea that I played. Very nice. So cool stuff. Great memory lane. And by the way, it still kind of works that with stores. I don't want to imply that that's kind of gone away. But it's a lot easier for stores to have multiple brands now because since you guys may be interested in this, the reason why a lot of small stores back in the day were set up like that was accounting issues. So an account, right? So like Command would be a one-stop shop. Same with St. Louis Music Company. You'd have one account. So let's say you got a $20,000 credit line. That makes it easy if you can take that $20,000 and go, okay, let's buy some Alvarez, let's buy some acoustics, let's buy some Audio Syntron PAs, let's buy some crate amplifiers, right? And as you're selling stuff, you can just keep churning because that's the dream for a lot of retailers, right? Is to churn this credit line over. In other words, before the bill comes due, usually a 30-day net or 60 days, time before the bill comes due, you want that stuff sold so you can just take the customer's money and pay those bills and, keep it going so you don't have to keep a constant account. Why I say it's gone away from that now is, basically a lot of stores now have credit. You just get credit. When I used to complain all the time because some vendors used to make us put stuff on credit, and I would complain because I had credit lines of zero interest that would pay me points, and they're like, "Oh, we'll give you 30 days," and I'm like, "I don't want 30 days. I'll just put it on my credit account." You know what I mean? And get my points. So. You know what I mean? So credit's a lot easier than it was back then. And there's a whole, I don't know if anyone ever be interested. I don't want to go down that whole tirade, but there's a whole backstory to how credit works in this industry. It works the same way in most industries, retail industries, but how credit is designed to basically keep the mom and pop stores kind of like enslaved to the major brands. And that's another reason why I don't like it. It's really making deals with the devil. And I feel bad for any stores right now that are watching that have those kind of credit lines and are deep in that stuff. I feel for you because it's really designed to basically put you in a situation where you never get out of it. And it's effective. It's an effective system. It's why they use it. Okay, so what else? Another question. Let's do another one. Okay, it says, these are early viewers. These are viewers who came early. Chris Goodwin is the next one who says, "Hey, Phil, I got my Patreon t-shirt. Hopefully I can get up to Phoenix and take a picture of air guitar. For those of you who are crazy enough or nice enough or weird enough or cool enough, I don't know. Maybe I should just cool enough. For those of you who are cool enough to watch my Instagram or follow Instagram whenever I do a post, I took a picture of it's a new store where I live in my town, where it's a what do you call it? A convenience store. See, here's what's funny. I'm having trouble saying convenience store, and here's why. It's a convenience store called Air Guitar, and it looks like some real trendy all glass thing with a wine thing, and it's got seating, and they're like, oh, you can come here and sit, and I'm like, who wants to hang out at the corner convenience store? Well, I mean, besides us when we were kids, but I mean, and buy wine. Usually if you're hanging out at the corner convenience store drinking wine, you have some serious problems that you may want to address. Not so much that you're at the target advertising of that business. You know what I mean? Like, hey, come to this convenience store and drink wine is a kind of a weird thing. But, you know, the world's changed. It's a trendy place. It's all trendy. I haven't gone to it yet, but I put the picture up because I thought it was funny. Why? Because I can't, for the life of me, figure out why the thing's called Air Guitar. It's a big sign that says Air Guitar. That's the name of this convenience store of trendiness. So if you come, like I said, maybe we can get a picture together. I was able to meet up with somebody, Relaxing Lab, but I didn't get to meet up with some others recently. And it's just, you know, when I can pull away, obviously. Just like everybody, I'm just at work trying to get stuff done. I have no idea. I'm going to say Valdas. Says, hey, Phil, have you ever come across Gordon Smith guitars? This is a UK brand, and the instruments appear to be very competitive in price. I actually got to play a couple of the Gordon Smith guitars at the 2018, might have been 2019 Summer NAMM, probably 2019 Summer NAMM. Was able to at their booth. I was there at their booth. Somebody introduced me to them. Another YouTube channel introduced me to them, but they didn't know my channel. It was kind of funny, and I was like, "Oh, I have a YouTube channel." I'm like, "Oh, that's nice." And then, and then I talked to them a little bit. I don't know. But the guitars were fantastic. So let's just go with that. It was they were super nice people. They just didn't seem interested in any kind of, you know, getting anything on the channel or interested in my channel. I don't think, like I said, I don't want to say they weren't interested in my channel. They just didn't know who I was, what the channel was. And long story short, I got to try the guitars, and I can tell you exactly what you said. I agree with them. They were super good and super competitively priced, kind of like Godin, but in the UK, right? Like quality stuff and at a great price, but no opportunity. Look, I haven't seen one since, so that's the problem. I wouldn't know where to get one besides maybe order one online, and you know, I'm just not in the market for a guitar right now. Okay, so hold on, I'm looking for more. Oh, this one I want to do too. Somatic Dust says, Phil, can you recommend a specific ABY pedal for my deluxe reverb? I can absolutely. My favorite ABY pedal is the radial pedals made in Canada. There's 2 or 3 kinds of them. It doesn't matter. They're all fantastic. You can buy the inexpensive one. Inexpensive, I think it's $99. At least it was, you know. $99. It will do everything you need. It's fantastic. It has a transformer in it, so it'll put a load. It won't make humming or buzzing sounds. It won't suck. It's fantastic. I use nothing else. I'm sure there's some other great ABY pedals out there. Some people like the Morleys. I like them, but they do make noise. They have other Morleys that don't make noise or humming or issues, and even with the ground lift. And they are expensive, about 2 or 3 times the price of the radial stuff in comparative what I've seen. And so that's what I swear by. But I want to be very clear about this. I'm sure there's a ton of suggestions out there, and I'm sure there's great stuff out there. I literally have never regretted my radial ABY boxes. They are fantastic. I have put them in every horrible conceivable thing. They still look like they're brand new, and they've been working. And I think my radial box is at least 10 years to 15 years old minimum, and love it. So I've never had a problem. I've never heard anybody having a problem. So like I said, and if it is, it's probably one person. There's probably one person on the internet who's like, hey, what's going on here? Let's see. What else? What else do we have? We have Digital Chorizo. That's nice. Digital Chorizo says, Phil, how long are strings good for in a package? Oh, that's a good question. Is it smart to buy string sets as needed or sit on a supply? Well, it's real simple. So there's obviously, let's say for the lack of, how crazy the world can get, let's just get general here. There are generally three kinds. I was going to say two. I went to say three. Three kinds of strings packaging. Three kinds of string packaging. There's just standard envelope style packaging. We know what that is. They're stuck in an envelope. They're put in something that's folded over a box, something like that. Then there's sealed strings, which are different. So keep in mind, so still bear with me on this. So we have regular packaging, sealed packaging, where they're put into some kind of sealed plastic bag or some kind of packaging, sealed packaging. And then there is vacuum sealed packaging, which, so the difference being that they suck the air out of the package as much as the air as they can get. I mean, it's going to be enough, right? I mean, you're not going to be sitting on strings for 10 years or 2 years. You shouldn't be. I would say, personally, if it was me, I would not purchase any more strings than I could consume in 1 year, 12-month period, okay? Now, here's why I want to tell you why I have some foresight on this. Obviously, like I said, through selling strings for over a decade, that certain strings, that's what happens. They sit on your racks in your store for so long that eventually somebody buys them and comes back in your store and goes, these are dead. These are crappy. And you're like, oh, and then you look and you go, wow. Ooh, what was that? 1946 when we ordered those? Like you could pull up your invoicing from your, go, wow, we must be not cycling through that. That doesn't happen very much. Mostly one, because I'm in a dry climate. Arizona's nice because it's dry for that stuff. Two, we purchase strings more logically than just, throwing things at the wall and saying, hey, I hope it works out. We would, try to buy the correct strings in the right volumes and manage that. But you do know that as a retailer, you don't want the strings to sit too long. And that's that's why I tell you this, because I've had all kinds of things said to me. But what's funny is somebody will say, I won't keep a pack of strings more than 2 months. And I go, why? And they go, because they go bad. And I go, well, how long did the person before you have them? I mean, a retailer can sit on strings. Even a Guitar Center can sit on a pack of strings for a year. It's possible, even in any retail organization. So I would say, generally speaking, talking to the manufacturer over here, I would say that unsealed packaging, I would try to consume those. And I don't know a number, so I'm just going to throw a good number out. I say within 3 to 5 months. Try to consume those up and use those. I don't know why I'm saying consume. Just put them on your guitar and use them, or bass. Sealed ones, I would take that out to 9 months. You know what I mean? And these are just general guidelines that I feel pretty safe giving you. So when I'm telling you these numbers, it's not like I'm just pulling them from my ass. I'm literally pulling safe numbers from my ass. And these are numbers I feel like if I told you this, you wouldn't come back on me for. And then the third one I would say is vacuum sealed in 12 months. And that's easy to tell. Just squeeze the bag that the strings are in. And if there's air in there, it's not vacuum sealed. That's a good way also sometimes to tell if you have fake addario strings, because the fakes, they don't vacuum seal them. So some, like I said, some companies do. Now, there's also one other step to this that you can do. You can take those silicone packets that you get in your shoes and in every single thing ever, from every box from Amazon and every technology, all those little bags of silicone. You could take those things and put them in with your strings as well. You know what I mean? And see, I wouldn't open a sealed bag and put them in there, because now you're opening the seal. But what I'm saying is, if you're concerned about that, you can keep them in there in a box. Put your strings in a box or something. I've never done that, but I know it would work, because obviously that's why they throw them in guitar cases, to keep the cases dry. So those are some suggestions on keeping your string life good. And I'd follow those, and I feel pretty safe. But like I said, the rule I follow, me personally, which is basically all the things I just said to you, is I don't buy more than a year's worth of strings ever. So, and I buy a lot of strings, you know what I mean? So I just kind of go, okay, what do I think I'm going to use? And then I buy them up. So there you go. Hope that was a decent answer to your question. It was a good question. Thank you. Derek Oliver says, hey, Phil, I love you. Great. I love you too. We now have a bromance going. That's awesome. So it says, thoughts on the Fender Jagstain? It says, I had one and I paid $800 Canadian. So what's that like? That's like, I don't know what the exchange is. I think it's on our favor now, right? It flips all the time. It's in your favor, then it's in our favor. I think it's back to us. Canadian new in 1998. Okay, price seems overblown for a guitar that was still in prototype state. Original was okay, but new current price, but not current price. So yeah, I mean, I think they're what, 1,400-ish US now for the made in Mexico Kurt Cobain model. I mean, it's tough. I have no desire for the guitar, and I like Nirvana. I'm a Nirvana fan. I'm like a Nirvana fan, like a lot of Nirvana fans. Some of them got it right away, and some of us like, what is this? And then finally like, oh, it's great. So it took me a little minute. It took me a minute. Like Guns N' Roses, for some reason, I was like a year or two late to the party. After everybody decided they liked them, then I decided I liked them. But back to your thing. So it's not something that's on my radar, so I don't have a value that I could say, oh yeah, I think it's, because remember, worth is really up to you, not to anybody else. So, you know, when you're like, hey, when I say, and that's really what's important, when I say, oh, I don't think it's worth $800, I don't want to ever imply that's anything more than just, I'm not going to buy it for more than that. That's why I'll wait. So same thing to you. If $1,400 seems on the high price range for a made in Mexico Jagstain guitar, you know, you can just buy one used, wait, you know what I mean? The market will settle as we speak. I think as we speak, I think the used prices seem to be coming down pretty steadily. Not in any steadily mean, continually on a trend, but not in huge numbers. But I definitely have seen in recent weeks more used gear out there in the world on the Reverbs, eBays, Craigslist, and better pricing. I've already seen a little better pricing. Now, don't get me wrong, there's still people asking crazy stuff, but there's a lot of people all of a sudden adjusting prices down. So I like to take notice. I don't know about you guys, when I like to take notice on Reverb when I'm on there, how many people says price drop. You know what I mean? And that really tells you something. And so the other day when I was looking at stuff, it was like 50%, and I feel pretty safe in that number. 50% of the items I was looking at had a recent price drop in the last, week to 2 weeks, maybe 30 days. Either way, you can find that deal. That would be my suggestion to you. Like I said, I can't imagine, the sad thing is those new prices aren't coming down anytime soon. Actually, what am I talking about? New prices aren't coming down at all, like ever. With Fender, it's only happened once in my lifetime, once in history, where Fender raised the prices and brought them back down. And that was 2008-ish. And that's when Fender decided to raise their prices 30% out of nowhere, right as the recession hit. That was always fun to be a dealer for that. It was nice to watch all the Fenders just sit there on the wall while people walked in. And I remember when the Fender reps were talking to us, and they're like, what's going on? And I said, what's funny is everybody... this is an actual joke I told the Fender rep. I said, no one knows their mom's birthday, but they know how much the retail of all these guitars are. And I said, and you just raised all the maps, the street prices, to the old retail. So to them, it's like my store just put everything on full retail. So they're like mad at me. They came in and they're like, Phil, why is everything retail now? Like all of a sudden I'm just being some jerk. And I'm like, that's what they are now. They just raised them 30% right when nobody had money. What a great idea, Fender. That's a dramatic pause. I didn't want to say a curse word already in the show. I feel like at the max I get allocated one curse word per show now that I've decided just to allocate myself for no reason. I didn't want to use it right then. So so that's my answer to your question, Derek, is find a deal or find something else. Like I said, if you want it, you should get it, but I understand what you're saying. Let's see. Wargasm 644 says, Phil, just curious, do you have any Schecters? Ooh, what a very personal question to ask me. Don't recall seeing you demo or play any. Oh, whoa. Oh, man. Really? I got 2 reviews. They got huge views. I don't know if they were huge views, but they were good views. Just recently. Schecter's a funny thing. I have this amazing love of Schecter guitars. I don't know what it is. I am Schecter fanboy, and I agree with everything everyone says. Literally, if you say Schecters are some of the best playing guitars for the money, I go, yes. And if somebody says Schecters have the worst colors and they just don't market to the average guitar player, and I go, yes. I agree with all of those things. So that being said, I own 2 Schecters. personally. One is actually behind me. It's been poking around in videos lately. This is a Sinister Gates with Sustainiac in gold. It's like blinged out. I am a huge Avenged Sevenfold fan. Huge meaning I've seen them 4 times live. I've seen them live 4 times. And that's my record. I don't think I've ever seen... actually, no, we figured this out. I don't know why we figured this out. Maybe it was important to somebody. I think Bella Fleck and Avenged Sevenfold are the bands I've seen the most. 4 times each, I believe. Again, I'm doing this off memory. Sinister Gates. So yeah, I have a Sinister Gates and I have a Hellraiser. Such a marketed one-way marketed company. Everything's like, I feel like I got it. For the podcasters, Phil just made rock fists with his hands and grunty sounds. It's like everything they do is a 80s metal. No, it's just metal. And although I love metal, who doesn't? And I play metal. I'm not always in the mood for that. I feel like they can really lend themselves to other looks as a whole. That being said, love the guitars, love the quality. It's just something I like. So yeah. To tell you just, Wargasm, so I don't bust your chops too hard. The Hellraiser, I actually just bought. I've been wanting one. I had a Hellraiser in white for like old podcasts go, yonder years. There was a white one. I found this, the Dream Hellraiser was a white one. And I put it on the wall behind me. My buddy Thor, who lives in Nashville, who just gave me this amazing Steve Vai poster, by the way, at the time. And that matches my gym. It's the promotional picture. I have the gym, floral gym. And then I have, because of Thor, because he worked in a music store when the gym came out, I have the original poster made for the stores for Ibanez, the promotional floral gym Steve Vai poster that he gave me as a gift. And so he saw my show and he goes, Phil, where did you get that amazingly beautiful Hellraiser in white? I said, I just got it. And I paid I think I paid like $400 or $450. And he's like, oh man, if you ever sell it to me. And I was like, I'll sell it to you for what I paid. So I sent it to him. And then here's what I did. I thought the guitar gods had graced me with goodwill for doing that, for my buddy, hooking him up and stuff. And so what happened was, I walked into Guitar Center, I think maybe a month or two later, and there's a purple Hellraiser that I don't love the color of so much, but it was like $250, maybe $300, some stupid price. It was stupid cheap, with a case, not a Schecter case, but a case. So I bought that, and you guys might have seen that for a minute. The problem is that the white one was so much better. It played better, sounded better. It was just a better guitar. So the good news is at that price, I was able to sell off the purple one at probably some kind of dividend to me. Probably made $100 or something, maybe a little bit. Been kind of like, wanting a Hellraiser because I want EMGs in that guitar. And been eyeballing them. As you guys know, I have this thing where I like all my guitars to be around a certain weight. 7.5 pounds is like ideal. And I finally found one that was 7.5 pounds and I bought it. And I got a good price on it. And so I have that one. And I have the Sinister Gates one, which is also a lighter one. I will use the Sinister Gates ones in a video. I don't see the need to demo it, review it, but I will use it in the video. And that's it for now for Schecters, but I don't know, maybe another one. Like I said, I love Schecters. So there you go. Okay, let's see. Carol D says, Phil, I can tell you can you tell us why you're in a happy mood today? You are positively giggly. I am. It says, thanks for another show. Look, I'll tell you what it is. I made a promise that I can't tell you guys why I'm in a good mood to my wife until next week. So basically, I have some plans with the kids. It's really exciting. We're all excited about it. I can't talk about it. Why? Because there's 786 of you, and even though there's no way that my kids are listening to this show, they could be, and they can't hear this. So that's why I'll tell you that's what it's about. But that's it. We have some exciting stuff planned this afternoon, and also I will tell you a funny story. It happened to me again. I want to tell you this because this my wife, her face was priceless. The other day, I told you guys, I told you last week my wife's foot's broken. I guess I should clarify. It's not broken. She's in a boot. It's sprained and they had to do a cortisone shot and all this stuff, and it's in a boot. So to me, that's broken, right? You can put your foot in a boot, you're broken. So anyways, she's been having trouble going to the grocery store and getting stuff done, and I've been helping when I can. I took her to the doctor this week. And anyways, we ran out of coffee, and so we had to go get coffee. And so we decided to go to my coffee shop that I like to go to. And I pulled up to the window with my wife, and she said, what are you doing? No, they gave me, because I told you they always ask you, like, hey, how's your day? And I'm like, good. And they go, what are you doing today? And I go, nothing. And they go, you're not doing anything? And I go, we're just getting coffee. And they're like, you doing anything this weekend? And I go, yeah. And then I told her what we're about to do this weekend. And she's like, oh, that's really cool. And then there's like this whole conversation starts. And my wife's looking at me, because she's like, I thought you like don't want to engage at the coffee shop. And I said, well, what I've just learned is I would be horrible if you ever interrogate me, because I never thought there was going to be a second follow-up question. I just thought, she's like, what are you doing today? I'm like, nothing. Oh, you just getting coffee? Yep, coffee and nothing. Nothing to say. Like I was being a traffic stop. I'm like, nothing. And she's like, what are you doing this weekend? Well, and then I just go into this whole speech and story. So long story short, I can't tell you. And I have to tell you that story because I already learned that I will break if I have a follow-up question. So that's my way of getting out of it, telling you the actual answer. But I will tell you next weekend. Here is a good question. This is from Columbia George. Columbia George says, how do I politely tell Sweetwater that I want a different sales rep? Well, George, believe it or not, I can give you some advice based on some advice I was given, and it goes like this. Okay. Basically, you should just tell the rep. Now, here's what I will suggest to you. I would go play to your strengths is usually the tactic I like. So if you're a good talker, I would call and talk to them. If you're better at writing, I would write them an email. If you're not good at either, then do the email. Okay. Something you can draft, review. And, look, there's nothing wrong. Ultimately, everyone wants to be successful. You want to have a very pleasant purchasing experience. They want you to have a pleasant sales experience. You weren't like, it's not like you're married. Okay. The sales reps and you are not like arranged marriages where you're stuck together and this is just how it is. You guys were just put together and sometimes it doesn't work. Whether it's personalities or whatever. So what I would do is draft some kind of email, very polite, very professional, and tell them as much truth as they need. That would be my advice. Like, in other words, like, hey, thank you for all the help you've given me. Even I would say that even if it's not accurate, just because always start with whatever compliment you can give them. Don't lie by any means, but there's always something you can find, positive. Hey, thanks for being employed at Sweetwater and the candy, right? Something. And then after you say that, say, look, I would like to see if I could switch to a different representative, and just for, and you don't have to tell them why. You know what I mean? That's the thing. Think about this. They're a business. They're not your parents. They're not the judge, the police. They're not in charge of anything. Okay. So you don't have to tell them why you want to change. Just ask them to please change. Say something polite that you can express that you would like to change reps. My guess in email format, the response will be, yeah, great. Your new rep's Sally. Have a nice day. You know what I mean? I'm sure it won't be curt like that, but it will be, some kind of corporate jargon response of, hey, thank you for the months of buying crap, and I hope you enjoyed the candy I sent you. And your new rep is Sally. Here's Sally. Say hi. And she says hi. Or they say hi. Maybe it's Dave. I don't know. And so that's what I would suggest, Columbia George, is do that. So there you go. That's my answer to that. And that's also, I follow that because that's also something that's also driven to my skull. You got to understand if you ever spent a minute with anybody in the military, you understand chain of command. The first thing you always try to resolve the issue, level to level, then go one level up, then go one up. You never jump command. So in other words, you never go right to the manager, if you can resolve it with the rep. That's my personal opinion. That's how I do things in stores. I try to resolve. If I have an issue, I'll try the rep. Then if that doesn't work, then I go to the, supervisor, then the manager. And this way I go up. I don't go, hey, I'm going to get the president of the company and you're on the phone right now. Because I'm like, that's just, it's not worth anybody's time. There you go. All right. Let me dive into a couple super chats here because I see they were kind of, and I didn't even open up that window. So let me do that. And maybe that's a good segue into, hold on, please be patient. 1 second, I should have had this up. I have a special screen. It's not special. I have a screen that YouTube gives me that puts all my super chats in one place. Okay. Before I go, what time is it? Okay, good. We're in the 30-minute mark. So let's go 30 more minutes, and then I'll do I'm going to do a giveaway. Okay. So let's see what Greg wants to talk about. Greg says, "Hey Phil, do you foresee a breaking point coming with the costs of wood, the supply problems, and inflation? Will prices get so high the industry will be unable to keep up with the quality for the price?" Okay, so let me break this down to you in a very, of course, very straightforward manner that you guys probably should be aware of if you're not. We can't even talk about price increases today, okay? We can't talk about price increases tomorrow. You really need to understand that the price increases have come already to the manufacturers. A lot of you are asking questions like, what do you think of this manufacturer's price increase? What do you think about this manufacturer's price increase? What I think is that most manufacturers, if not all of them, to some degree have been holding back the price increase waves as much as they can. So, for instance, Friedman had to raise, I shouldn't say Friedman, Boutique Amp Distribution had to raise prices a little. Remember, you guys remember maybe the mini heads, they were like $199 or something like that, and then we went to $219 or whatever, because they had a fire, and that fire was detrimental. They lost a lot of their resources that were destroyed from smoke damage or water, and they had to buy all new stuff at the new higher prices, and that means they can't hold back that price from you guys. But a lot of manufacturers, what they do is, even though they're paying the new price increases, if they're shipping out the stuff at the old stock and off the old materials, they'll keep their prices down, okay? Until they can't, okay? Or until they don't want to anymore. Either way, it doesn't matter. They're passing them on. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. For instance, I already see in the comments a lot of you guys saying, "Oh, Gibson just raised the price." Of course, so did Fender. A lot of companies raise their prices. We see that. I'm still trying to get my head wrapped around a Fender Deluxe Reverb for $1,500. The one I have next to me, I paid $350 for used. Not 20 years ago. It's like 2016. Maybe 2017. I think it was 2016. 2016, I bought a Deluxe Reverb for $350 used. Now they're $1,500. Okay, so anyways, so my point is that whatever your fear is, I don't want to say fear is the right word, whatever your concern is of a price increase coming, it's definitely coming because it's already hit. And then will there be more? Yeah, of course. Could there be more? Yeah, absolutely. Everything's in play right now. Inflation is not hard to no one's I don't know. I shouldn't talk about this stuff. As far as I know, no one is out there saying inflation is fake, right? Like, I don't know. Maybe I don't go deep enough into the crazies of the internet. But as far as I know, inflation is everybody's very aware of the fact that there's some inflation out there, and it's coming across a lot of platforms, and there's all these reasons for it, and that's not worth discussing on a guitar channel. But what is worth discussing is this. Yes, it's in this kind of market, it's probably, and when it comes to new product, it's probably better to buy now than later because of that reasoning, because it's not going to come down. So it's either staying the same or it's going up. So if you can justify making that purchase and it's safe for you to do so, do that now. Now, used gear, that's a little different. Used gear has been inflated, and that's a different market because it's a different resource, and that could be coming down slowly, but I don't think it's going to go back to the old days. There's nothing that I see that even implies that. I think we might see some of the crazy of like asking more than new, and new that will move back down to the older style of pricing where it's a percentage of what new is. Yeah. So I that's what I would say. But yeah, do I think those are things affect? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's across the board. I haven't talked to anybody that isn't affected by it. And it doesn't even mean this industry. It's every industry, but this industry as well. So yes. Okay. Let's go. Next question. Next question is, hold on a second. Next question. Jeff Parker says, "Hey, new guitar day. Sweet. He says, ESP Ltd. Issue with several new guitars lately. Okay. Plastic on to protect the one. Okay, so he has plastic wrapped around the pickups, around the top and the bottom. He had to unstring it, pull the pickguard off, knobs to pick up to remove the plastic. So I haven't seen that particular issue before where they're like wrapping the entire like circumference of the pickup in plastic. If it's a new policy, maybe that's weird, right? I haven't seen it, with ESP Ltd or any of the brands. However, I've said this before, during this COVID period in the last year and a half or so, seeing guitars, whether I bought them or reviewed them or around them, I've seen all kinds of things that I normally don't see. And it seems to all be very logical to conclude that it's all because of some rushing effect. In other words, hurrying to get the guitar out the door. There seems to be a lot of emphasis on that and a lot of things like that. So that sounds like that could be what that is with your guitar. Of course, I don't know for sure. I'm not looking at it and I don't know all the circumstances, but sounds to me like that's what they did. Sounds like a big pain in the butt, but in the grand scheme of things, look, I try to remind myself over and over again, if you're lucky enough to be able to buy an ESP guitar in the current world, in the current market, the worst thing happens, you got to peel the plastic off. It's not the end of the world. And I like to say that to you because sometimes it's nice when one of my friends says that to me when I'm like, man, what the hell did they do? And he goes, if that's the worst problem you have right now, you don't have any problems. I'm like, good point. So it's nice when your friends remind you that. So sounds like an inconvenience, but what I can tell you is what I always will tell you is this. I always caution everybody not to have a bad purchasing experience. I say that because of the fact that I will always say this on this channel, that I've been on both sides of the counter. In other words, I've sold people stuff, I've bought stuff. And being on both sides of the counter in every form and capacity that you can be on that, I will tell you that what I learned is, and every business person will tell you this, is the worst review is the one you don't get. The one that's like nobody said anything. They just left and you never saw them again. That's no business wants to not have an opportunity to sell another product. So the reason I tell you that, Jeff, is I appreciate you bringing it up on the channel. It's nice to have that subject to talk about. However, it's something that concerned you or upset you or kind of like put a bummer on the experience. What I would do is reach out to the retailer or the manufacturer or both, tell them what happened in a very professional, polite way, and give them an opportunity to do something about it. It's something like this. I mean, I don't know what you do about it. I wouldn't expect anything big deal, right? But at the very least, here's what I'm going to tell you. At the very least, if you let them know you had this kind of an issue with it, they may be looking for it next time so it doesn't happen to somebody else. So you're just improving somebody else's day. Nothing wrong with that. Everybody looks at things like they're complaining, and sometimes it's not complaining. It's feedback. Feedback is effective. And that's going to segue into something I'm going to talk about in a second. So giving them feedback's great. And then sometimes they take that opportunity to, I can tell you what I did. If you told me that story right now and I was the guy who sold you that guitar, I would probably, in my mind, value that. Well, first, the best plan is always ask the customer what they would like. Hey, was there something we could do to make this experience better for you? And hope that they say something like, yeah, pack strings would be great. And you're like, perfect, life's great. If they don't, I would probably suggest, so if you didn't suggest something to me, I would probably pick $20 out of my butt. Not literally a $20 bill in my butt. That may be the weirdest, awkward statement. I would try to give you $20 compensation. You know what I mean? I look at it like, what's 20, 30 minutes of this guy's time worth? $20. And then usually go, oh, you don't have to do that. And that's what you're looking for. And then you do it. And then if they say that, then you've rectified the situation. If they give you that kind of face like $20, no, I'm okay. Now you're like, okay, well, what can I do? You know what I mean? Again, you're just trying to fix the problem. So that's the only thing. Now, here's what segues into that. I want to talk about this because I saw it on a comment and I pinned it, and it ties into what you were saying. This was from Mohogany said, are you going to keep the Inkchi guitar? I got to say Inkchi. I told you phonetically, if I read Godin, or Godin, I say Godin. If I see Inksy, I say Inksy, but it's Inkchi guitars. I did that video this week. I hope you guys watched that video. It was one of my favorite videos. I know you guys probably will never read that from me visually when you watch the videos, which ones you think I'm enjoying versus which ones I am truly enjoying. That was probably one of my funnest videos I've done in maybe a year. And here's why. The owner of that company sent that guitar out, and he was very easy to give information to. I had to tell him first that I thought the prices were a little high. You know, one of the things that sucks about this gig is that you interact with these companies, and a company sends you a product, and to you guys, it's probably, you don't really put a whole lot of thought into this, but you don't maybe realize that to some people, this is not just a product. Some people, this is their baby. This is their life. This is everything they've dreamed in their whole world coming true. And they just send it to you. And then some random dude with a camera and an internet feed's like, oh, this is what's wrong with it. And this is what's wrong. And, and you try to be, like I said, I try to give feedback and not be, a jerk, but try to give critical feedback. And some companies take it well and some don't. But he took it great. In fact, I made sure to put his response email because he didn't see the video until you guys did. That's usually the policy here. Very rarely do I let a company see a video before you guys do. In fact, I don't. It's probably possible I've done it once or twice, but I don't. Like I said, it's not the way I like to do things. So, he sees it when you guys see it, and then he sees what you guys see. And he was very on it and very like, how do I fix this stuff? And that's kind of my point. That means I did something correct. The critiques I gave were put out in a way that did not create a emotional response. It created a logical response. He was like, okay, let me assess what this guy's saying. So very cool. So to answer Mahogany's question, am I keeping the Inksy? Yeah, he's left it with me. Of course, he sent me an email. I haven't had a chance to respond to him because I got it last night. He was like, what string tree do I recommend to put on that guitar? And instead of responding to him, I'm actually going to do it, and then I'm going to send him pictures. In fact, everything you guys saw me critique on the guitar, I'm going to do that to the guitar and then send it to him. And then I'll give you guys an update, probably on the second channel now that I have that avenue, and maybe just grab my phone and talk about it. I really like the guitar. And so this is what's weird. This is what's weird about the guitar. That guitar and another guitar, because it's actually two, and there's another video coming soon with another guitar, is the reason I don't own my Sir guitar anymore. That Sir Telly that was in my video, I got rid of it. I don't think the Inchi was as good as the Sir. And I don't think this other guitar is as good as the Sir. But the Inchi is a far cry from the $4,000 Sir price tag. And like a lot of you said, hey, there's a couple issues for that kind of price. There shouldn't be any issues. I don't disagree with that. Obviously, that's how I assessed the video, the way I assessed it. And most of you guys, I didn't specifically say in that video what I thought the price tag on that guitar should be. And I think introductory price should be about $699, and then eventually he should be at a $799 price point. And then as he builds the brand, then he can raise the price, because that's the element that's missing. Making a great product is first important, but then you have to build a brand behind it. And so, he's got a journey to go down for that. But what I was going to say is that guitar with a couple of those adjustments that I spoke about in that video, that guitar is fantastic. It's as good as anything else. And it played great. It felt great. So, and I like the weight. I like the way it felt, and I like the way it looks. So it was really cool. So yeah, I really enjoyed the instrument immensely. Just like I said, it had those issues, and I don't ever gloss over the issues with you guys. I'll disclose whatever it is I see. Like I said, I play it where it lands. There you go. Peter says, hey, Phil, just watched your video where you remove pickups by cutting the wiring insulation different lengths. He says, effing genius. I love how you put E effing. Thank you. Phonetically, that's great for me. Effing genius. Have a great show today. I don't know if it's genius. That's right. There's a comedian's joke that says, hey, man, he's like, you ever see, he goes, yeah. Hold on. He says, you ever use genius too easily sometimes? He's like, the other day, I guess my friend brought nachos. He's like, hey, man, I brought nachos. He's like, oh, genius. So it's kind of funny. Back to your statement. Thank you for the compliment. So what he's talking about was I did a pickup install in a video, and in the video, I actually I make sure to cut different lengths of the wires off the pickups, and then therefore, that ID is where they go. So like the shorter one goes to the bridge and the long one goes to the neck, kind of thing. So you'd have to watch the video, but it's an old trick. I picked it up somewhere from somebody. Like I said, I wish I could take credit. Half the stuff I show you guys is just the stuff I picked up over the years. Just share with you guys what works. That's really the only thing I can give you. There's a few ideas I have, maybe. Give myself some credit. There's a few ideas I give you guys that maybe are my ideas. Most of the ideas, it's not that they're not my ideas, obviously, but I'm sharing them with you not because I learned them, but because they worked. So it's like I learn a lot of stuff, and then what works I kind of share. Bradley says, I want to use my PRS for more drop tunings. don't feel like setting up the bridge every time. Can I deck the bridge, or is it better to just block it off? I would block off the bridge. You didn't say if it was the PRS, SE, S2, or Core. Either way, I don't like that bridge laying on the body. I've seen it have issues, and that's if it doesn't have the recess. Some of them have the recess behind the bridge. Some of them don't. Either way, not a good idea. So I would block it. I don't even like it decked on the John Mayer Silver Sky, and it comes pretty much, I think, decked on the John Mayer Silver Sky, or you can do it. I don't like it that way. Just put a block behind it. That's my experience. You'll be better for it, in my experience. We have Josh. Do we? No, I jumped to Neto Meadow. Neto Meadow. Neto Meadow says, hey, Phil. He didn't say, hey, Phil, just said, hi. He says, Goto Magnum locking tuners, SD510 SLMGs. Ah, okay. All right. I don't know the numbers, but I know which ones you're talking about. It says, useless, ? Changing strings is a hassle with them defeats the purpose of locking tuners. Am I wrong? You are not wrong. I freaking hate them, and I didn't use the curse word yet, the show. I freaking hate those tuning keys. So what he's talking about, look, we don't need to talk about the brand. All you have to know is in locking key land, obviously most of us know that there's a dial on the back side of the tuning key. You turn it, you lock it. That's how most of them work. Works fantastic. It's a great invention. You can restring with one hand, and it's perfect. Then there's like the Paul Reed Smith style ones where the locking unit locks same way. You just turn it, but it's from the top. Also effective. Even though it's not a Goto, it's these specific Gotos that he's talking about, because I have Gotos with the locks on the back and they're great. The ones he's talking about are these weird ones where you got to turn this like collar. I don't know how to explain it. It's like it's a cap on the shaft of the tuning key, and you turn it so you can line up the two holes. Then you put the string through it. Then you got to put a pick down in the groove on the top. Then you got to turn the thing and twist the pick just a certain way, and then it locks, catches, and then it does this thing. And yeah, I freaking hate it. And you know, it's funny. I've gotten now so fast at them that if somebody hands me one, I just do it real fast. But that's not why I hate it, because at this point I've just kind of learned to do it. I hate it because you hate it, and everybody seems to hate it, and half the people I deal with are like, I can't get this to work right, and it's a flawed design, and they need to ditch it. Look, I don't understand. It's like the guitar industry. And now it's time for a rant. I need like little cool little things that pop up. Phil's rants. This guitar industry drives me crazy sometimes when we know a product doesn't work. There's better products, and the company that makes that product makes the better product. Like in Goto's case, still not cursing yet. Freak off. Knock it off. We don't need it. Those tuning keys suck. Now, here's what I like about that. There's someone right now going to tell me they like them. Good. I'm glad you like them. But you should have to buy the old used ones, because the rest of us are sick of them. I just say that because here's what I will tell you. Every time a company sends a guitar out for review, every time one has one like those tuning keys on there, I'm like, great. It sucks. All right. So in other words, if you make a better product, stick with the better product. Stop making the crappy product and the better product. Okay. Or maybe I'm totally wrong, which is very, very possible. Maybe Goto did stop making them a long time ago, but they suck so bad they've just been in warehouses all this time. They're still selling. So every once in a while, when a dealer's not paying attention like that, what kind of tuners they didn't say. Ship out the old Magnum ones with the top turny thing. I don't even know what you call it, stupid thing. It says, I hope you guys enjoyed that. It was mostly for comedic humor, but mostly also because it's a frustrating tuner. Angst Wolf with a damn U. What is this? You know what? It's probably a real name, and I'm just so middle class American, I just can't figure it out. So it's what a public education gets you. Anyways, it says, what's the best home repair for a 2-inch dent? Oh man, not only do I jack up your name, I have no great answers for this question. It says he chipped his polyurethane finish. It's black Japanese Strat from the 80s, which is a cool guitar. Epoxy with gloss paint. Thanks. I have no idea. That would be a Nathan question. That as soon as you say 2-inch dent, that's out of my wheelhouse for what I can repair. I repair dents. I repair all kinds of finish flaws, small chips, things like that. Stuff I can finish and buff and do stuff. And I own an airbrush, so I can airbrush things and fix things. You know, and I can do a pretty decent job. But yeah, that stuff's just too far out of my thing. So unfortunately, I don't have an answer. But I will tell you, it's an 80s Japanese Strat. So just love the relicness of it, man. That's just love that dent. That's what I would say. Love it. Don't fix it. It's a cool guitar. It's got miles on it. It's an old, think about this. It's in 1980, right? It's a classic. Let it be dented. Nowadays, you have to pay more for that stuff. That's really my real suggestion to you, is just learn to like it the way it is. Unless that chip is doing something, like it's scratching you or doing something, I wouldn't put the time into it. My guess is whatever fix you come for you're always going to see it. It's not going to be a huge big difference. It's not worth it to have it done at a professional shop, because not that the guitar is not worth anything. It is. It's just the shops are going to be just unrealistic, price wise in this market. So that's my suggestion. Antique Rocker, with a bunch of capital letters and then no letters, says, I have a PRS SE-HB hollow body 2 with a Piazzo. It says it's a Piazzo. It says, and an Epiphone Les Paul Ultra 3. Both seem to be wired with the blend output jack as mono. Okay. How difficult to convert the jack to stereo? Oh, I gotcha. So what you want to do is you want the blend jack to split to why? I don't know the Les Paul Ultra 3. I haven't seen one. I don't think I've seen one in person. But the Hollow Body 2 SE has the two output jacks. You have the mono and then... Oh, so it sends out two monos. That's what it does. So I don't think it does a mono stereo, right? So you want to do a stereo? I don't know the answer to this question. Isn't that what's interesting? I mean, I would know it if I pull that board out. I need to look at what it's sending. That's really what it comes down to, is what is it sending? That's interesting. What I would do, Antique Rocker, is I think the Hollow Body 2 core does have a mono / stereo. So they might be totally different modules that are not compatible to do those things. But if they are, I would look at the schematic for the Hollow Body 2 core and see what it's showing you, and if there's a way to tap into that from the new one. Because they did modify I don't know if you know this, but Jack at PRS told me that the HB2s, the Hollow Body 2 SEs, I said the acoustic on those sound better than the cores, because I had one of each and I was comparing them. And he said, yeah, it's because when they developed the LR Bags unit for the Hollow Body 2, they improved it. So maybe when they improved it, it's one of the changes. But I would look at that schematic. Sometimes the best way to fix a problem is to look at a way something else is wired up, and then compare the two and put them side by side, and you'll see what aligns up and what doesn't very quickly. Josh Smith, what's up? He says, hey, just a tip for the brass potentiometer sleeve tip. That's from that video I did this week. This has helped a project out big time. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, you know what's funny is it's one of those things that I never see sometimes. Sometimes I do a video and I go, wait till they see what I'm showing them. They're going to be so, impressed or something. And I feel good. And I go to bed at night with a big smile going, I did good today. And then sometimes like that video, I go, I got to just show them how to do this thing. They all know this. I thought I was going to get of course you do the sleeve. Everybody knows that. And it's one of those things like maybe I didn't know. Maybe I didn't know everybody didn't do that. So I'm glad it worked out that way. I love it when piece of information gets out to everybody. Clown of House Cat says, hey, I'm excited about this. He says, posted an unboxing video of the Zither stand to share to his audience. Okay. Brought up how Zither was 1,400 stands behind and still made yours anyways. Yeah. Tony is a great guy. So, like I said, I want to kind of hit that again. I will watch the video for sure, Clown of House Cats. Like I said, I'm addicted to, and that segued perfectly. So in a second, to my Know Your Gear logos. Because like I said, every time you guys, it's what it is. It's every time you guys do anything with the logo, I'm always just humbled to all extremes of it. I mean, it's really I think it's this weird feeling every time. I feel like it's an out of body experience. Like I shouldn't be experiencing this experience. As someone who never had any, remember I was repairing guitars and I started making videos on YouTube. I never thought I was going to, perform in front of people or be in front of people, talk in front of people, take videos, take, pictures, be this way, it's still weird to me. And that is the weirdest thing, is when I see anybody enjoying anything from the channel, I'm always it's like I said, it's almost like it's not me experiencing it. I'm watching it who is this person and what are they interested in? It's really fun for me. So I'll check out your video for sure. But you know what brought that up was I got a shirt. Remember I talked about last week? I got a shirt and my wife had to wash it. I'm going to show it to you right now. I got a letter. I'm not going to read the whole letter, because of the time restraints. Let me show you the shirt. What? It's a Know Your Gear shirt, but he's got an axe. It's an axe. It's a real axe, not an axe. And it says Know Your Axe with an axe that I can't point at. Look, with an axe. And I got the shirt. So I got a Know Your Axe shirt that was sent to me. This was sent to me by Dave. And Dave teaches axes. He's an axe tech. This is what he says. He says, I'm going to read some of this. He goes, hey, just a small token of my appreciation for you and your channel. We actually teach axe fighting. He teaches axe fighting. That sounds so damn cool. Oh, you know what? I should show the back if I can. I don't know how to. There, I hope that works. I'm not really set up for this, but anyways, it says the backs. By the way, for those listening, the backs had the Pittsburgh Combat Club logo on it, which is where he teaches axe fighting, and he couldn't resist placing an axe with another axe. In other words, right? He says, "I hope you enjoy this shirt," and he goes into some personal stuff, and I don't know if I should read that, so I'm not going to read that, but. I appreciate the gift, man. Really, really cool. He's a patron of the channel too. Dave, thank you. In fact, it's signed David, so I should call him right by the right name instead of Dave. Sorry. I wonder if people would do that to you. I always should I call you Phil or Philip? And I don't care. I notice women generally call me Philip and men call me Phil, and I have no choice, like whether they did that or not. And so over the years, I just assume that's what's going to happen. Don't care either way. So David, thank you for the gift. This I love, by the way. I did some of these mashup shirts with other channels. I've done mashup shirts for other things. But I've never had anybody mash up my logo and send it back to me. You're the first one. And I love it. Like I said, it's really, really cool. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Like I said, it humors me very much in a very deep level. So thank you for that. Let's do this. We got 1 hour. I got to switch screens to see how many of you here. There's probably 30 of you. Hey, there was 900. I dropped my pocket knife on the metal pipe thing at my desk. So why am I excited? Well, here's the deal. I wanted to do some exciting stuff. Why? Because the show, I told you, the views have shot up on the show. We were averaging, at the beginning of this year, this live show was averaging 20 to 25,000. 25,000 being the round up number of views on YouTube. And of course, a bigger multiplier on the podcast platforms, which is really good. However, if you noticed, I don't know if you noticed, but if you noticed, that show now is averaging 35,000 views on YouTube plus, so that's up a substantial amount. Obviously, it's about 17% overall. This is, like I said, don't. You're like, hey, that's not the right number. It is if you take the entire number that I look at, which is every episode. And anyway, so we're up about 18% on both the podcasting platform and the YouTube platform. So what does that mean? It means there's a lot more of you hanging out with me. I appreciate that. So I thought, how do we do something cool? And believe it or not, there's a couple things that I thought I would tell you guys. One, I had some extensive conversations with Sweetwater. Since you guys are the podcast crew, I want to tell you that this beautiful guitar behind me, this D'Angelico guitar, there's a video. It will either be out tomorrow at 2 or Sunday at 2. I haven't decided yet. It's done. The patrons already saw it. They gave me their they gave me notes, and I changed some things. It'll be out tomorrow. I'm going to give that guitar away to you and you. Okay? So actually, Sweetwater is helping me do that. So Sweetwater reached out. Basically, you'll see what's going on in the video. They really want to hit it hard this Christmas, of course, and they basically asked me if I would do a bunch of videos. I'm going to be doing a lot of videos, reviews, just the same thing I always do. Just they let me pick all the stuff. It's everything I picked. They didn't pick any of this stuff except for that, but that they didn't pick. You guys picked, which we'll explain tomorrow. I don't want to ruin that. So I was like, okay, I like it. When the channel has stuff like that, you get an infusion of excitement. But whenever I work with the bigger companies, it really wants me to drive harder to kind of get the smaller companies back on the channel as much as I can. So, believe it or not, I have this friend. His name's TJ, and he owns this company called Guitar Crate. Now, this isn't a sponsored video, and it is and it isn't, okay? It technically is sponsored because he's sponsoring the giveaways, but I want to let you know, he's not paying me anything, okay? And he did not contact me. I contact him. Why is that important? It's not important for the legal disclaimer stuff. It's important that you know why this is happening, because it's important to me why it's happening. TJ, I've known TJ for a few years now. I've opened a couple of his boxes. He's been trying to grow this business, him and his partner. They're just, entrepreneurial guys trying to do this thing where basically you can sign up and they send you either a $25 thing or a $45 thing of stuff, and we've opened it and you just get stuff. It's to expose you to different accessories every month, right? It's up to you if you're into that stuff. Again, I'm not here to kind of, sell it to you. I'm just here to tell you about it. However, the one thing I want to tell you is, in the link down below, it's not an affiliate link. he's gonna give anybody who buys anything off his website, which is like pedals or any other stuff, accessories, just not the boxes, 15% off. So a lot of cool pedals. But here's what I wanted to do. And I've decided I'm going to pick, who am I going to pick? Hold on a second. I'm going to pick two people, believe it or not, right now. I'm going to pick one right now. Okay, first, there it is. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open this box. Why? Because I need to show you guys stuff. I did ask him to send me this box. However, so this is a $45 box. Okay, you get a box. I'm not going to add it up. If you want to see what the value of these things are, I have a video where he sent me one once and I reviewed it. So what's in here in this thing? Balanced tension 9-40 strings. You can pick when you order yours if you want 10s or 9s, if you want acoustic or electric. So essentially in this box, you're getting two sets of addario strings, 10s and 9s. You're getting the Music Nomad Tune It. Every string change. This is like the lubricant stuff. I use lubricant and stuff. This Tune It stuff works great. I swear by all these kind of stuff. Any of this lubricant stuff for your nut and the guitar. That's cool. That's a cool thing to get. You're getting a strap. This one's this is a patented locket strap made in the USA, and it's got a it's on a spring. Okay, that I didn't know about. So it basically hooks over like it's leather or leatherette, and then it's got this little plastic thing. Look at that, locks, and I'm sure it's on both sides. This is red nylon. Yep, that's cool. I have to explain, like, hey, to the listeners, this might get edited out. Sometimes the listeners don't get this, like I said, hear everything. So this locks the other side. So you're getting a made in USA nylon strap and red. So that's great. And then you get a 10 of Guitar Crate picks. Some more picks. There's more picks in here, and you get a polish cloth, right? So it's pretty cool. And then you get some more picks. So polish cloth. And I'm sure the Music Nomad stuff's expensive. I don't know. My guess is, I don't know, but probably $15. I mean, usually this stuff's kind of expensive. Like I said, I've done videos where we've kind of checked it all out. So that's the box. That's what you get. There is a thing on his website. I saw this where you can buy somebody. It's like $100, $150, $200. You pick a number and you buy it, and then you can send it off as a gift. So you send somebody a $100 gift. So why am I doing this? Well, basically, here's what I did. I reached out to him. I figured it's Christmas. He's coming. He's just, like I said, it's just two guys putting these things together, trying to build a business. I said, how can we help them on our channel? Here's what I decided to do. He sent me one of these to check out. I'm going to talk about it every week until the next one comes. We're going to do 10 episodes. The next 10 episodes, I'm going to give one of these away to a viewer. He's agreeing to ship this. He'll ship it to him, so I don't have to do that. Isn't that great? I just pick one of you guys, and you're going to get a box like this shipped to you, and I'll pick one of you. But today, this box, the one he sent me, when we're done with it, it's going to go to, I'm not old, I'm vintage. Yes, I picked randomly, just through scrolling real fast, one of the moderators. So that's a gift. So I have something to show you guys. There it is. I'm going to give that to a moderator, which is, I'm not old, I'm vintage. You're getting some strings, man. You're getting some stuff. I'll actually throw some Know Your Gear swag in there too if I got it. Sometimes I say that and then I got to go check with the wife and she's like, we're out. But if I have stuff, I'll throw it in there. So that's what I thought I'd do. To win it, let's pick somebody. Let's figure this out. You have to be in the United States because that's where he ships to. Like I said, TJ's going to ship this thing. And let's see. Oh, you know what? You know what I should do? This is what I'm going to do. Give me a second. You know what? Gina Short, I hope you're in the U.S. Gina Short, she put, well worth it, actually. You know what? If she thought that, she deserves it. Gina Short, it's super simple. Email me anytime from now on to pmcknight7@gmail.com. There's links in my videos. Just send me that you're the winner and where you want it sent. Again, it has to be in the U.S. If she's not in the U.S., we'll pick somebody else, and I'll send Gina a shirt, okay? Because that I can do through Teespring, and it ships anywhere in the world. And I'll forward it to TJ, and he'll ship this out to you. And we'll do one of these every week. And like I said, it gets him on your guys' radar. It's the time of year if you're going to do stuff like this. That's how I think of this stuff. You know, if you have somebody to think about, like I said, and he's giving you discounts and stuff, and you're helping out a small business, because trust me, you're going to be hearing about the big businesses. Everybody's, you know, it's going to be Fender, Gibson, and Sweetwater till Christmas. Might as well try to get some of the smaller guys. By the way, if you have a small business and you want to be mentioned on the show, you know, I've done Tone Shack. I've done, other brands too. If I can mention them to you guys, I'll mention them. Like I said, this show is sponsored by my patrons. So I don't need sponsorships. So there's no money needed, none of that stuff. I just try to minimize the costs of shipping and doing stuff, right? Trying to keep it under normal. Sometimes like I said, sometimes it gets a little nuts when you look at it, when you ship 5 or 6 things, and you look at my wife's like $600 in shipping. I'm like, holy crap, what did I ship? So, all right. I hope that was fun. And it's also, you know what I asked for? It's a nice little break in the day for me, a break in the show. Gives me something to do and keep the momentum going. So there you go. I hope it all works out. I'll let you know. I'll let you know if hopefully Gina's in the U.S. for this. All right. What else? We have questions. Let's get to the questions. Let's get back to work, Phil. Get back to work. It says, Ace says, hey, Phil, I'm 22-year-old who recently discovered DOKKEN. Hell yeah, you did. That is awesome. I remember, oh man, DOKKEN. I'm still a Lynch freak. In fact, I rip off Lynch so much in what I play, which doesn't come across in any YouTube videos, but if you ever see me play without being a YouTube demo review channel where I'm trying to just demo out stuff, dude, I always go to these like DOKKEN-esque riffs. Anyways, thank you for getting me excited about that. I wanted to know if you've ever tried George Lynch LTD Tiger striped signature guitar. I did. It's amazing. Buy it. The cheap one, not the ESP. I've played both. So, you know, I'm a secret Lynch addict. So I had Lynch do a clinic in my store. Look, I only did 2 clinics in 13 years of having the store. I only had 2 clinics come in. I had a Gretsch clinic clinician come in and do a Gretsch clinic, and I had George Lynch, and that's it. Because I just like George Lynch. Yeah, I love that guitar. It's a great guitar. I used to have the Kamikaze and I got rid of it. Kind of regret that. And I had a Bones guitar, and what's funny is a picture of that came up on my Facebook. You know, it's like, you know, like Facebook likes to remind you when things were awesome. They're like, remember 7 years ago when you were doing something cool and not the crap you're doing today? And you're like, oh, thanks, Facebook, for reminding me that. Because you never post like the bad stuff really on Facebook. I mean, maybe sometimes. So most of the time when Facebook's like, 6 years ago today, you were thinner, cooler, and doing something fun, you're like, fuck you, Facebook. There's my curse word for the show. Anyways, so they had a picture of my Lynch guitar. What's funny is my daughter's 16 now. She sees the picture and she smiles at me because the Bones guitar, to give you a reference of it, it was about 10 years ago when I owned the Bones guitar. I sold the Bones guitar because it scared the crap out of my daughter all the time. So, and I don't know why I just didn't put it in a case and put it in the closet. Probably because I just thought if I wasn't using it, it's time to let it go. But to answer your question, Ace, dude, buy the LTD Tiger. It's great. Look, the only main difference between the LTD Tiger and the ESP one, besides the enormous price tag, in my experience playing them both, and multiple ones too over the years, is that maybe the LTD might need some polishing on the frets and a little setup stuff. But trust me, you can take that guitar and get it set up anywhere or just do it yourself. You'll be fine. Get that guitar. By the way, check them out. Yeah. And then once now you like DOKKEN, now you're on the road. You're on the right road, buddy. It's like I feel like excited, like, you know, it's like somebody just discovered like the Blues Brothers or something. You're like, yes, great movie. You need to watch that movie. You need to check out DOKKEN. Keep going. You're lots of cool stuff to check out. But yes, and you're 22, which means you have a lot of great music to discover in your life and enjoy all of it. So there you go. Grumpy Mike Guitar. Hey, what's up, buddy? And he says, as he always says, for the tone jar, and why not? He says, happy Friday. How is the lovely Mrs. McKnight's foot? Is she recovering well? She's working her butt off this week. She's fixing all my mistakes from the stands that I made last week. It got fixed. By the way, everyone's stands got shipped except for anyone who bought them I think there's 4 stands. So here's the good thing. Everyone should have tracking numbers sent to them, and she's handling it all. So if you have any issues, we're taking care of it, which I don't think there's a whole lot. I saw one person might have a damaged stand. She's taking care of that. And then there's 4 people. So if you're like, hey, I didn't get my tracking number, you're one of the 4 and we know about you. Because she's audited the audit to make sure. Because Tony has been doing a fantastic job on their side in Texas shipping out the stands. I don't know if you understood. Maybe I wasn't clear with this. You guys were buying off my site, and then I send him your orders, and then he ships them out straight to you. It's how we discuss. We didn't want to ship things twice. Tony is a funny guy, and one of the things he said, which I don't disagree with in any way, he says, I don't want to ship things twice. Because at first I was like, well, I'll order the stand, ship them to me, and then I'll ship them to the viewers. And he's like, I don't want to ship things twice. And he's like, I don't want to pay the shipping guys 2 times if I don't have to. I don't need, we don't need all those resources expended. And I said, you're absolutely right. In today's technology, or you can order it from me, I can send him an Excel spreadsheet with all the orders. He fulfills it, sends it back to me, tracking numbers. That's what's happening. So send it to him. He makes stands because he can do it. He's doing it as soon as he gets the orders. He done it. You guys know. None of you guys are waiting, like a month to get your stands. He's knocking them out in days. Ships them out. Sends us back the tracking numbers, and then we update it in our sales system on our website, and it emails you guys out. And so there's 19 stands left. So the way it worked out, remember I told you I didn't know how many stands to do, so we decided maybe we should do 25, but the patrons bought 23, and I said, well, that's not going to work. So then I go, well, maybe we'll do 50. I wasn't sure, and then you guys bought 35 immediately, and I was like, on top of the 23, and I go, well, we can't do 50 because we want to make sure everybody, like I said, I want to make sure everybody who wants to get one gets one, and then we're done with that particular limited edition stand and stuff. So where we're at now is 81 stands have sold. So we were like, well, at this point, we got to go to 100. So we're going to 100 stands. So there's 19 left. So if you guys want to order a stand. There's 19 left. I'm going to do a video about them, but it's to sell the last 19. And then maybe we'll do something different. I don't know. Like I said, keep it fun. So what else? Oh, he asked how her foot's doing. Her foot is in a brace, and she's taking ibuprofen, and she's doing a lot of clerical work this week. My son has been taking up the slack. Today, because of this week, we gave away the PRS guitar, Mira, and a viewer named Sam won it. And what's great about that is he works at the VA hospital with blind veterans, obviously veterans, but blind veterans, and he does music therapy and stuff. And he's like, hey, just so you know, man, this is great, and so it's great. It's going to a great person, great, someone who can actually use that PRS Mira. So that was cool. And today what happened was I boxed it. My wife did all the, data entry stuff to ship it. And my son took it to the FedEx. And so we're getting stuff done. But thanks for asking, Grumpy Mike. I'll let her know you asked. Ray says, ordered a Fishman Performer amp. Will I be disappointed? I plan to use it for gigs with a J45. I've liked all the Fishman acoustic amplifiers that I've used. I never had the Performer. I had the Loud Box. There's 2 Loud Boxes. I don't remember which one I had. I had the bigger one. I don't know what the definition, naming is different of the 2, but I had, the Loud Box, the larger one. Loved it. Worked great. So, to answer your question, will you be disappointed? No, I don't think Fishman's a disappoint company. It's a good quality stuff. You know what I mean? That's, there's always, you can always find stuff cheaper. You can always find stuff, this is how it works. You can always find stuff better. You can always find stuff cheaper. That's not always the question. The question is it a good product? I think it's a good product. I think you'll be happy. Richard just did a super chat, and so did Seth to support the channel. I appreciate that. Richard also did a super chat. He said, just wanted to send $10. Okay, for no reason. Only lets me do $4.99 times 2. Thanks for all. That's weird. You know what? It's YouTube, man. Every day on YouTube is like, imagine learning your job. Every day on YouTube is like going to work, and it's in a different place, and you have a new job to learn today. You're like, where do they put stuff now? Well, how does everything work? What's an algorithm, and why is it not doing what it needs to do? So thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. Sasha, with an S, says, 1985 money, okay, for nothing blares on the radio. I immediately went and bought a guitar, okay. Oh, so in 1985, money for nothing blares on the radio. Okay, all right, little Dire Straits there. And you immediately went and bought a guitar. Only guitar in my town was a Harmony Flying V. Harmony, yes. You know what? That was another brand. Yeah, for $40, I learned on it for 3 years. Fool me, sold it. Oh, fool! Basically, Sasha's a fool because he sold it. But recently found one worth the money to turn it into a player. No, it's not worth the money, but should you do it? Those are two separate questions, and I don't think they should actually be combined. And here's why. You want a practical answer to a non-practical question. Yeah, right? Should you buy your wife roses? Well, maybe the answer is yes, but should you know what I mean? Indulging yourself is not a practical question. You want to relive a moment in your childhood. That's really what you want to do. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? There's this nostalgicness in there. It's just something, hey, look, we need the joys. Every little joy that we get is hard to come by. It's rare. And that's why it feels so good when you have them. So my advice to you is decide if you really want it and then buy it. And if you don't really want it, then don't buy it. But don't try to logically, and this is my experience talking to you, the crap I've done. Because I've done this. I've chased down those little memory lanes. And hey, look, sometimes it pays a dividend. It does. And sometimes it doesn't. But it had nothing to do with whether it was a good deal. It was a lot of money I spent. It always had to do with, did it really incite the feeling that I wanted? And sometimes it does. And like I said, you have to decide, does it really matter to you? Because here's what's really going to be on it. Let's be honest for a second. Like, really honest. That guitar is going to spend its life on the wall. Okay? My buddy Joe, Joe, who's been on the channel a long time ago, and of course, Joe, he once said something to me. I was playing a guitar. It was a less expensive guitar, and it was really cool. And I go, I really like this guitar. And I go, do you think I should get it? And I don't know where we were, store somewhere. And he goes, oh yeah, I could really see you playing that with your nicer guitars on the wall, staring. He's like, I see you staring at your nicer guitars, playing this less, this lesser guitar. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I'm not going to play it. You know what I mean? And I started laughing, not because it wasn't a great guitar. It was great, but I understood what he was saying. He's like, you're not going to play that guitar and stare at your other guitars that are nicer. That doesn't make any sense. So here's what I'm telling you, Sasha. You're probably going to play your nicer guitar that you have now and stare at this Harmony guitar. So here's a piece of advice that I would suggest. If you can find this Harmony V guitar and it's not psycho priced, maybe buy it and not immediately update it, not immediately make it playable, not immediately put all the money and time in it. Maybe baby step this in, right? It's sometimes, because it isn't a lot of money, sometimes we as guitar players, especially on the collection side of our mindsets, will do silly things because if we were collecting cars, you wouldn't do this. Like my friends that buy and fix up old cars, they don't just buy and fix up a car in a weekend. It's a process over months, right, of expenditures. So sometimes maybe we should follow that advice. And you can buy this guitar and stare at it, feel that emotional charge. Maybe if you decide you're over with that moment, you can sell it off and maybe it's a little bit of loss. But hey, in the grand scheme of things, you know what I mean? Did you miss out on a steak dinner? Who knows? But you have a good time. You enjoy it. And then if you decide you're going to continue to enjoy it and use it, maybe put the money in it. That's just my thoughts. But I always like to see what other comments come in from questions like that. By the way, thank you for the extremely large super chat. One of those things that points out, for $50 super chat, you could have just put it towards the guitar. But I appreciate you asking my thoughts on it. I really be interested in what you do. Like I said, just like the DOKKEN moment again a few minutes ago with Ace, you know what I mean? There's something about nostalgia, and you don't have to be that old. I was nostalgic at 25 years old. At 25 years old, I was like, oh, remember back when we were 18? That's the thing about nostalgia. You're always wanting that old moment because it was great, right? Rodrigo says, I don't know. He says Rodrigo del Peon. Peon? I'm going to say Peon, like neon. Peon. Says, how would you match specific guitars with specific amps, like single coils, humbuckers, and P90s? How would I do it? Or how do I do it? That's better. So how do I do it? I I really don't look at it that way. What I've learned is this: when the amp is doing its thing, when the amp is a beautiful amp, when you find an amp that's great, it doesn't matter which one of those guitars are in there. That's what I've really learned. There are amps that just sound better with single coils versus humbuckers versus P90s. Of course, there's guitars that only sound good with certain amps, all that stuff. Sure, there's all kinds of reasons why that works. I'm okay with that. But deep down, I can tell you right now, the amps that I truly love, that I truly play, that I will always keep and have kept now for many, many years in my life, they sound good with anything. And they sound good without adjusting them. I specifically was showing a friend of this a couple weeks ago when I was literally plugging into an amp, and I was playing, at that time I was playing my SG. And I'm playing and I go, I love the sound. And I put the SG in. Just to show him this, I grabbed the Telecaster. I plugged the Telecaster in. No adjustments to the amp. I was playing overdrive, distorted even. No adjustments. And the Tele sounded fantastic. Different, totally different. Two totally different sounds, but both very beautiful and sounding the exact way I would hope something sound. So how would I match it? That's exactly how I do it. To me, if I have an amp, and that's sometimes where I've come to the problem of an amp, is it sounds great with my Strat, but not my Les Paul and vice versa, that I don't find I ever end up keeping that amp. As much as that amp does, it sounds good, even if it sounds good, to me, I'm looking for like this holy grail of it does everything kind of moment. I really needed to do that. And I found it's not that hard to find those amps. It's not a price thing, so you know. Doesn't have to be expensive. Just certain amps, they voice well with everything. Or it's your style and playing and everything matches. Remember, because it's all these equations come together. Your style, the way obviously the way you play, your technique, the amp, the guitar, everything comes together and it's just right. When it's all right, you don't even need to ask. You just know. Sorry, I'm looking at the clock. We're doing good. We have Seth, who says, asked last week, what should I get first between an AC-15 and a SV20H, and found a totally mint AC-15 on Craigslist for $350. That's a great deal. Also picked up a Rosewood Neck Strat. Yeah, $350. That's a great price. You'll get, your AC-15. You're great. I think that's what I paid for the one I bought. I think I paid $350. I'm pretty sure I paid $350 plus tax, so probably around $380, and then I sold it for $400. And so I was able to get in and out of it. And so I'm curious. I'm curious to see what you think. Like I said, it's a good amp. I didn't love it, but it had nothing with the amp. The amp I think is a great amp. It was just, for me, it's just I just wanted an amp that has more bass, low end, not low end, warmth. It's a really clear, punchy amp that has a sound. And I'm more of the darker sounding amp for me. Like I said, when I do YouTube videos, I try to stay with these neutral sounds that kind of appeal to a bigger audience. That just makes more sense for making the content, because you guys I'm trying to help you guys hear what this product maybe sounds like, and maybe that's a better way to go. But for me personally, I'll make everything sound really dark if I can, just because I like the way that sounds. I like it sounding that way. Michael Nielsen, what's up, buddy? So, Michael's from, it's actually, his channel is self-titled now. His channel, I think, was originally Big Hairy Guitars, but now it's just Michael Nielsen. But it is Big Hairy Guitars as well. Fantastic player, great channel. What does he want? He wants, why'd you super chat me? I don't have my phone, so even if you texted me, it wouldn't come through. So maybe that's why you super chatted me. It says, hey, Phil, do you know the difference between the Sterling AX3 versus the AX3 sub? Thinking about picking one up. Don't want to pay money for an EBM Wolfgang. I thought the sub series I thought was, so the answer, sadly enough, is I probably don't know, because I'm trying to do stuff off of what I think I know, and that's always a bad road to go down. I thought the sub was for a while they had the brand sub. They put sub on stuff, and it meant like it was a lower tier or something. That's what I thought, but I don't even know anymore. I understand about not wanting to pay for the EBM, the Ernie Ball Music Man Wolfgang. Well, it wasn't the Wolfgang. I know what you mean. You want the Eddie Van Halen one. See, the Ernie Ball one wasn't a Wolfgang, right? The Wolfgang was the PV and then now the EVH branded. The Ernie Ball was just the Ernie Ball. Well, it was called an Axis too, right? I'm pretty sure they're all the Axis. Even I think when Eddie Van Halen, I think it was still called like the Eddie Van Halen Axis, because the Axis comes from the machine that makes the neck is called an Axis machine that makes the asymmetrical neck, and it's off memory off of something I read. So I think that's the way I understand it. So here's what I'm thinking. What I remember about Sub playing them, because I picked up a bunch of sub basses, sub guitars. I don't remember feeling anything substandard about it. So I don't know. I just went down that road last year with you. So you know that you're about to go to. I went and bought the Music Man Access, and I liked it. I just, it didn't do it for me. I wanted it because of Eddie Van Halen, and I was like, okay, he loved it. It's a great guitar because I know it's a great guitar. And then what I realized is my hands are just too big for that neck. It's just too small for me. It just feels weird, and then I wasn't playing it, and I have an Eddie Van Halen Stripe guitar, so I was like, all right, I'm good. And I have an actual Wolfgang or a Wolfgang Peavey that has the chunkier neck. And that being said, that sounds like that's the reason why, but that's not it. It's because I have the Stripe one. I play the striped EVH guitar. I love that guitar. Play it. This Wolfgang, I dig it a lot. I'm pointing at a Wolfgang for those of you, but I don't ever play it. It literally just because I'm an Eddie Van Halen fan, I bought it, and I pick it up and I strum it and I kind of reminisce, but I don't play it. Hold on a second. Okay, so we're on time. Sasha is the last super chat. And then I'll get through the rest, and then we'll hit some other. Let me grab some non super chats and see what you guys are talking about. Let me go to the main screen and see what's going on. Okay. And then Cage Pap says it was an Axis, but then Eddie joined, and they wouldn't change what he wanted, so when he left, it went back to being the Axis. Yes. Okay, I'm just looking at questions directed towards me, guys, real quick. Huh. Robert M. says, hey, speaking of amps, thoughts on any of the Morgan stuff? He's talking about the Morgan amps. I've been intrigued by a few models. What's funny is I hung out with Joe Morgan one night. He's a great guy. Big, just awesome, amazing humor. Nice guy. And great amps. And he makes a Princeton-style amp. I don't know why I don't own it. Other than there's nowhere to buy them here. And so it's just like I'll have to take a shot at it. But that's definitely an amp that... and I know part of it for me is like if I buy it, I'm not going to keep my 68 Princeton, so I would just keep one, and then that's my fear. I get it, and if I like the 68 more, then now I have this Morgan I have to get rid of, and if I get it and I like it, well, then I'm going to get rid of my 68, and then all I really do is just have another amp that I already had. So what I'm arguing now if the Morgan sounds a little better when I already like what I have. So that's kind of my thought process, but I want to buy one of the amps just because I like him. He seems like a nice guy, and his amps seem really, really good. But that's the amp I looked at. Okay, let me stay focused so I can end the show on time, so I can do family time. Litve, hey, he did it upside down. It looks like me, but upside down. Thanks, Litve. D. Charon says, for the tone jar. I don't understand the tone jar, but I understand you guys like the tone jar. But I like it. It's for the... Because I guess, do you put tips in a jar? I guess you do. I think that's where you put tips. Usually, do bands have jars anymore with tips? Did you just Vimo bands tips now? That's what I think bands should do. They should just have like a Vimo account or something, and then when you're in the audience, you just like, boop, with your phone. You're like, I just tipped the band. James says, can you put electric guitar strings on an acoustic guitar? You absolutely can. The only thing I would caution you about is putting the same gauge on an acoustic guitar is probably fine. up to 12. So the reason is the steel strings are going to require more tension. And again, I've never tried this. I don't know. I'm giving you speculation, right? So I haven't done an experiment. I don't know specifically, but I would imagine that's required, because that's usually what's required when they change the metals in strings. Sometimes you get more steel-based strings versus nickel string stuff. Sometimes that's what makes them feel different. Is sometimes that physically they have to, stretch them all harder to get the same pitch, or sometimes not as hard, depending on how you look at that. So my guess would be 12 gauge electric guitar strings on an acoustic would be approximately not the same, in theory, not the same as 13 gauge acoustic strings, but closer. You know what I mean? So maybe I'd be cautious after 12 gauge guitar strings. And it's always a little nervous when you put 13s on an acoustic. So maybe if I was going to do it, I'd put 11 gauge or some kind of hybrid 11s, maybe not 11 to 46, but 11 to 49 electric strings on an acoustic to give you the same feel and the same tension response as what 12 to 56 or 12 to 52 acoustic strings are. And that's, again, just all theory because you're asking, and I can only guess. I don't know why you'd want to do that. Maybe because you want it brighter. I guess that would be the logic. It would be brighter, but you got to understand it's going to be brighter in a way that I don't think you're going to predict. It's not going to be brighter like chime brighter. It's going to be clangy brighter. I mean, I've played a lot of acoustics with steel strings because a lot of customers have brought acoustics and they put the wrong strings on them. Very rarely do you find somebody with electric guitar that accidentally put acoustic strings, right? Mostly you see people with acoustics that put electric strings because electric strings are cheaper, and people probably walked in the store and bought the cheapest pack of strings, went home, put them on the acoustic. So, but yeah, absolutely you can. Oh, okay. So, also, I would also tell you that if you're going to do that, before I would do that, because I don't know the intent of the question, before I would do that, if I was me personally, I would look at other strings that are made for acoustics that maybe are brighter, because that's what you're going after if you're asking me that. If you want to know, that's the only thing you're going to get out of this is a brighter sound. So there's a way to get brighter sounds out of acoustic strings, acoustic style strings. There's different materials and they do different things. Jeff Harper says, hey, he's got a used Hot Rod Deluxe popping and crackling on the clean. That's the tubes. He says, tubes? It's probably the tubes. At least you hope it's the tubes, right? So the tubes are going to be most likely the culprit. And that's one of the easiest amps to work on. The back, you unplug it. You can take the back panel off. You can do that very easily without having to reach up underneath there and try to figure out the tubes. You can just take the panel off so you can see it. Here's the thing about amplifiers, and again, like I said, I always tell everybody unplug them. Keep in mind, just because you unplug the tube amplifier does not mean it's not dangerous anymore. The capacitors are capacitors, which means that's what they do. They're storing up some juice, and if you touch them, they're going to give it to you, and you're not going to like it. So here's what I would definitely do, right? Don't worry about changing tubes. It's an easy thing to do. So I don't want you to over worry about this. Don't touch the capacitors. In fact, just to be safe, do two things whenever working with tube amps. And this is the thing I learned with tube amps, and it seems pretty good advice for layman's, and that's what we are at this point. One, always sit on one hand. That's the best thing to do. Sit on one of your hands because you only want one hand touching the amp. You don't want to complete the circuit. That's the first piece of advice. Second piece of advice is, if you can, pull up the schematic and find out where the capacitors are and don't friggin' touch them. That helps a crap ton. If you can't find a schematic of what the capacitors, where they are, and you can't identify them visually, then don't touch anything other than the tubes, and probably still use one hand to do that. Again, you shouldn't be afraid of it. It's really not that big of a deal. It could hurt you, but if you take a little bit of precaution on it, you should be fine. But yeah, swap those tubes out. Super easy, man. Just swap out the preamp tubes, and especially since you're only getting on the clean channel. Interesting enough, the only thing that concerns me is on the Hot Rod Deluxe. I'm trying to remember if it's backwards. So on the Hot Rod Deluxe, I think you should get I think you have 3 preamp tubes. I think. So again, I'm doing this off memory, guys. I'm pretty sure I'm right. 3 preamp tubes. One will probably be assigned to the power tubes. Okay, so and one's probably assigned to the reverb. So it should be only one tube, and it might only be on the dirty channel. And that's why I'm telling you this. This might be the scary part of your problem. there might not be a preamp tube assigned to the clean channel on that amp. So easy enough. But either way, that's where I would start because it's an easy fix. You can just swap them around too. You don't have to buy new preamp tubes if you don't have them or have access. You can just swap two preamp tubes and see if the problem moves. Like I said, old fix. We've all done it for years and it works fine. David, what's up, David? Hey, thank you for the shirt, man. I appreciate it. He says, new Guitar Day, just bought and received a 2019 Epiphone Emperor Swingster. Love it, but the bridge is tilted forward. I hate that. I assume floating bridge, common fix. The problem is that a lot of the guitars like that, they use cheap metal for the bridges, and it starts bending. Well, could be a couple of reasons. I'm not looking at it. So there's a couple of things. Sometimes they're bent. That's bad. Just replace them at this point. Sometimes they're not bent. They're tilted, and they're tilted because the sockets that are in the body of the guitar are being pulled forward. That I would also fix. Either ways, here's the deal. Either way, I would fix the problem. And exactly how I basically said is how you'd fix it. You have to assess which one of the problems you have. You have the post is bent, let's replace the post. If it's not the post, it's the socket where what the post goes into. The post, not the post. The socket for the post, I guess, is you're gonna have to pull that out and replace those. That's what I would recommend. That's what I would do. What I can tell you is if you don't fix it, it's not going to get progressively worse quickly. So it takes a while for it to get worse. It will eventually get worse, but it could take a year or 2 or 3, 4. It's not going to be like in a week or 2 in most cases. E.R. Webster, what's up, buddy? I saw your new giant saw. It came in your wood crate. I think I saw it on your Instagram. So congratulations on the giant saw. It looked like a heavy, big project to have fun with. It says, favorite compressor? Easy, Keeley compressor. I've got a compressor on the way to try out. I'm sure that's great too. Look, I went compressor crazy. Probably about 6 years ago. Every kind of compressor you can think of. And I like a lot of them. I like the Boss compressor for what it does. It's cool. I like the MXR compressor, the MXR comp. I like Lawrence Petros made a compressor that was fantastic. I have one of his. It's great. I like the Ego comp by Wampler. There's so many good compressors. You know what I mean? And I don't know what it is, but I like the Keeley. And that's funny because that was my first expensive compressor. Like I said, I probably started my first compressor was got to be the Boss, and then it probably went to MXR, and then I think at MXR I decided like I don't need the Boss, and then I went to the more expensive MXR, and then I went crazy and I got like Homebrew was a company that was in Arizona and made great pedals, and he made a fantastic compressor that was based on a Rolls compressor, and I got that, and then I was like, oh, this is the holy grail, and then I went up this crazy stream of crazy expensive compressors. Everything from EBS compressor to everybody else's compressor. And really what it came back down to was the MXR was fine. It's kind of like I said, you swim upstream to realize like, the water was just the same temperature at the beginning. And so anyways, and then basically I don't know what it is. I just decided to land back on the Keeley compressor. And that's where I'm at. But that all being said, I used to use a lot of compression. I liked it. And now I don't use it very much at all. But it's because I liked it so much that it kind of just started, I noticed, not even noticing until after it happened, I started buying amps that actually have a compressed kind of sound to them. So obviously I was used to the sound and I liked it. So, and then sometimes compressing in a very compressed sound doesn't make sense. But the compressor sounds cool. James says, is it a bad time to buy a new Gibson acoustic? No, it's not a bad time. Here's what's interesting about the question. Are you saying like, is it a bad time because the prices, like it's the stock market and the guitar prices are going to go down? No, I like I said, used, maybe the prices will come down. New prices are not coming down. Will the market change enough and then you'll get deals? Sure, of course. The economy can change and there will be deals. So sure. But keep in mind, this is what people sometimes forget, depending on your financial livelihood, if the market slows and the prices come down, it might affect you financially too. So it's going to be a lot of times apples to apples and that. But the only... So the answer to answer your question is I don't see anything other than, unless you're concerned, like I said, unless you have a financial concern, which this is a guitar channel, not a financial channel. So I would go find a financial channel and ask them like, hey, should I buy something now or wait? But in the time of, but what I'm saying about Gibson, no, I will tell you this. I saw Gibson launched a bunch of price increases. What I will tell you is this is a good time when Gibson puts out price increases. And I don't want to just say this exclusive to Gibson. When a guitar company puts out a price increase, what I will tell you is a good piece of advice. This is something I can tell you, is that when you see that price increase happen, whether it's, they announce it or you saw the retailer start popping it, and it doesn't matter what brand it is. As soon as I see a price increase on a brand, and if I'm interested in that guitar, I immediately buy that guitar. But what I do is I immediately try to find dealers with that guitar in stock and see if they'll honor the old price. And 9 out of 10 times, 8 out of 10 times, 8 out of 10 times, they'll do it. So it's just real common. And so you start with probably whoever your trusted source of buying guitars is, see if they do it. If they don't do it, then you go, but I've learned that, look, it's not, the price increase is not real to the dealer in a lot of cases until they pay the price increase. So sometimes they have, let's say like this acoustic you want, you want a Gibson acoustic and there's a dealer has two of them at the old pricing and they haven't paid the new pricing. They might play the game of, okay, well, we want to get more margin, so we're going to go to the new price and we're not going to budge. Well, fine, that's their prerogative. But definitely find out if they'll do it, because a quick sell at the price, that's their right margin, right? Like if they bought a guitar for $1,000 and they sell it to you for $1,500, and then the price goes to $1,800, okay, they still paid it $1,000. They may just say screw it and just go, okay, yeah, why not sell it at $1,500? That was the price we were trying to get in the first place. So I will tell you this, that I've had a lot of luck with, and I do it all the time over the years. As soon as a company checks up a price real fast, I'll go, crap, I was thinking about getting one. I'll try to find a retailer now. Like, hey, will you honor the old price? And like I said, most of the time, it's never a problem. Nothing more than a couple searches, and you can do it in today's day and age, unless it's just a product you can't find. D. Pat says, I found an LTD Viper 50 at the landfill. Holy camp, that's sad and cool. Or sad that somebody threw it away, and cool that you found it. Works and plays great, but has a big crack in the body near the bolt on the neck. Worth fixing? Sure, of course. It's wood, man. Fix it. It's wood. Fix it with wood glue. Remember, most everything on the guitar that's wood could be fixed with wood glue. Think about, that's what's great about it. You just get some type on wood glue and start fixing stuff. Everybody tries, like I said, everybody tries to overthink this. I don't understand what we lost this whole generation of people who know how to fix anything. Literally, everybody thinks everything's complicated. It's not. It's wood. You fix it with wood glue. So yeah, fix it. And I'm not saying that for any other reason. I just want to take any kind of fear out of your head. Just do it, man. Yeah, you found a free guitar. It's got a big chunk crack in it. Yeah, get some clamps and some wood glue, and you can fix that sucker. Right? Some sandpaper. Yep, you're good. That's all you need. A clamp, some sandpaper, and wood glue. And if you don't have a clamp, you just need a good friend that's strong and has a lot of time to waste. Because he's going to be holding it together. Anyways, and that's it. Do it. Yeah, fix it. Good job. Good one. You know what? Good job saving something from the landfill and using it. Perfect. He says, so he's got a follow-up. He says, will the LTD neck bolt onto a Fender Strat body easily? I'm going to say no, just because the shape of it's the same size, but it's different shaped in the way that it sets in. Easily is an objective question in the idea of if you're savvy with some sandpaper and some time, and yeah, it can work. You may need a file because you might want to shape that heel a little bit, stick it in there. Sure, can you? Yeah, they're same scale. It should be both 25.5-inch scale. It could be done. Yes. So that's what I'm basically trying to say. The long answer is yes. Can it be done? It can be done. Is it easy? And that's basically, I think, what you're trying to get at is it's not hard. It's just not, it just goes in. You're just, a little bit of finesse. Not a lot of work, just a little bit of, like I said, not a lot of tools. Think about that. You won't need a whole lot of tools, man. SCJR, I'm going to say SC Junior. SCJR says, hey, Phil, I got a bone nut cut For my nylon at a shop, the action at the first fret is 1 millimeter, and it feels higher than it used to be. Would you cut it this high? Would I cut it this high? No. Look, a classical guitar sucks because not the guitar itself, but that, when you cut a nut on a classical guitar, because sometimes classical players aren't looking for really low action. It's not something they really do, because the problem is a classical guitar player is a different type of player than the electric, than the acoustic steel string player, in the idea that a classical guitar players generally are looking for a very loud guitar. And that's why they get very expensive, because the tops, solid tops, the way the bracing is cut, everything's about getting the volume up, because there's not a lot of tension on those strings. They don't create a whole lot of volume, you know what I mean? Of sound, I should say, volume of sound. So sometimes they might cut the nut and leave it action pretty high. So here's the problem. I'm not a classical player, although I have a classical style guitar, and my classical guitar is not, would disgust a classical player. And that may be your problem too, is maybe your guitar is more cut for someone who's probably going to play traditional classical guitar. And again, I'm not looking at it. It could just be done wrong. But it sounds like to me it might be high because they may have thought you're just a classical player with these super strong hands and all these because sometimes classical players do this thing that I really appreciate. Bass players are kind of notorious for this too. Playing something that's difficult, like in other words, high action and a crappy instrument, not a highly performing instrument, for the sound. You know what I mean? That's just what they're after. So that could be the problem, or it could be cut wrong. Either way, it sounds like you're not going to like it that way, and there's nothing wrong with making it perform the way you want to. So that's what I would do. The only problem is I'm not looking at the whole picture here, so I don't know what the neck looks like, what the frets look like. The person that did this might have put that high because you have other problems, and if he lowers it, those problems come up, and then now you're having a new nut cut and you're having other issues done. So that would be the question I would have for that person. What was the decision to do that, and can you lower it? That's all you got to ask. It's an insult. And if they react poorly to that, screw them. You paid them. Don't ever take no crap from somebody you paying. It makes no sense. I would love have you a customer. I'd be like, that's the way it comes. And you'd be like, okay, Phil. And then I'm like, pay the bill twice. So anyways, ask the question. Hey, this is how it's cut. Can you explain why? I'm not digging it this way. Can we do it again this way? Only worst case scenario is I can picture is they might go, you didn't say anything at first and now you got to pay me again to do it again. I wouldn't suggest doing that, but that's something they can push back on. And that time you'll have to decide what you're going to have to do about that and how you want to handle that. Okay. It says, I watch for stuff. 6 says, happy Friday, Phil, for fun. What's the last tool you got that you really enjoy using? Oh, I actually have it. Hold on a second. I'm like looking around. I know I have it here. I know I have it. It's going to drive me crazy. I really want to show it to you. Look at that. This is it. I put a link to this in every video. Okay. This is a fret. This is a ruler for your action ruler, and it's a fret rocker. Now, it is my least favorite fret rocker of all time. Okay. But it works as a fret rocker, but it's my least favorite. It is my absolute favorite action guide of all time. This is the Music Nomad Action Guide, String Action Guide gauge from Music Nomad. I have no idea what it costs. I want to tell you right now, they sent this to me. They sent me a package of tools, and this was in it. I don't care. I'm going to tell you right now, honest to God, I don't care if this thing's $50. I'd pay it. I wouldn't be happy, but I will pay it now that I've used it. Why is it so great, you say, Phil? Why? Well, one, unlike the Stu Mac one, which has a metric, and then they have another one that's for standard. This has it on metric on one side and standard on the other side. Ingenious, apparently. And it has a hole so I can hang it on my wall, which is great. But it's black with white writing. Oh my God. Look at this. You're going to look how well, if I could keep it in focus, you can see. My camera won't focus right, but it doesn't matter. Trust me. You see how bright that's popping out? Do you know how nice it is for me? The number one problem I've had since I've been on YouTube, number one, no exaggeration, number one problem is doing repair/videos, setup videos, doing videos. To do videos, the way you light the video, it's all this forward light on you. You can't see crap, right? I'm basically like right now, I'm in the dark. This room's very dark and there's a lot of light hitting me. And when I'm looking at something, I can't see it, right? This thing I can see in the dark. So imagine if I can see it in the dark, you guys can see it in any lighting. So if you don't have a well-lit shop, that's what I'm used to, a very bright, well-lit shop. And so, with all this, like different kinds of lights and then my magnifying light and stuff. So having this has been a godsend. This is my favorite tool by far. And it sounds like a tambourine when you throw it. But yeah, that's what I highly recommend. And I have a link for that in this video. I put a link for that in every video because I use it in every video. And if you buy it from Sweetwater, I get something. If you buy it from Music Nomad, I don't get anything. But buy from them too. I don't, like I said. Or call your Sweetwater rep and save some money and don't pay me anything. Like I said, you can, if they're willing to give me a couple percentage points, maybe they're willing to give you the percentage points. Call them up and ask for the say, hey, I was going to do an affiliate link with Phil McKnight, but instead I want his. I think it's like 4%, maybe 5%. Give 5%. Ask for 5%. I don't know if I get that much, but ask for it. Okay, it says, what does it say? Blackjack says, Hooligan. Blackjack Hooligan. I got to give the whole name. Says, I own a 1974 Guild D50. I have actually worked on one of those guitars. Beautiful guitar. The binding is starting to come off and it needs repair, but I'm afraid to take it to the local shop. What should I do? Yeah, look, I understand that. You know what I mean? If you don't have a reputable shop, someone you trust, and more important, that's what it is. Someone you trust with something you love. I'm sure this guitar is more than just an old vintage guitar. I'm sure it has some kind of value to you besides the monetary value. I understand it. Look, you can ship it to shops around the country. There are high-end shops that do these kind of guitars. They're not going to be cheap. And of course, you're going to take the risk of shipping the guitar into That's the downfall of that. That's the thing. The only thing I can tell you is if you can't find somebody you trust to do it, well, then you're going to have to do it yourself. So you can watch videos on how to do it and learn to do it yourself. But that's it. The other thing you can do is maybe if you have a vacation coming or something, maybe you can look about where you're going, if there's quality shops there, and maybe take a road trip, right? Maybe it's a good time to take a road trip somewhere and get this guitar fixed. So there you go. That's what I would suggest, but I understand. But I will tell you this, if the binding is coming off, and this is just to prompt you down the road, whatever's happening in your guitar right now, it's going to continually get worse. The binding is going to kind of corrode. It's going to get brittle. It cracks. Anytime you're dealing with vintage guitars and you're dealing with anything that's Bakelite, anything that's like tortoiseshell style or tortoiseshell binding or pickguards, all that stuff, whatever it's doing, it's going to progressively get worse. And the problem will either get A, more expensive, or unfixable. Nothing's unfixable, but you don't understand. They will have to replace more than fix. And so that's what I would suggest to you, is that keep that in mind. You do need to resolve that issue with that guitar because it's just going to get worse. I'm not old, I'm vintage says, let me cover the shipping of the box. I sent you an email with my actual name. What? I'm going to tell everyone. I'm just kidding, buddy. This is, of course, I forgot to include my shipping address. No, you don't have to cover the shipping of this box, man. I got this. Look, that's the whole point of the show. The show is, look, the Patreon, not only has the show been up, that's how I figured out the show numbers were up. When I talked earlier show about the show being up about 17%, the Patreon numbers are up. Everything seems to be up. Like I said, we sold way more stands than I ever thought we would sell. So when you see something like, wow, why are we selling more than normal? Like, what happened? What did I say? I said something cool, and that wasn't. It's just there's more of you. So I was like, okay. So yeah, no, that was in. It was factored in. That was all was factored in. So again, it's like I said, my wife's gonna knock it out and get it out there and ship for you, and she's got one of those UPS, not UPS, the post office, right? Those pre-boxes. She drops it in. It's like $8, man. She's got it. Thank you for being a patron. It worked out. Because you're not just a moderator, you're a patron. So think of this. Think of this. You're working as a moderator, and you're a patron. You're supporting the channel in both ways. Says David Hunter says, Phil, I need a good headphone, guitar amp. It's the way it was written. It says I need a headphone guitar amp. Does anyone make something like the Cab IR pedal for headphones? Any recommendations? Yeah, there's tons of headphone amps, man. There's tons of them out there. And what I will tell you is, like, some people like the that new Mustang one from Fender, the Mustang amp one. I haven't tried it. I used to have one of the old Korg ones. I mentioned a couple shows ago that I don't use, like little travel amps and stuff like that, that I have a rig that I use. Believe it or not, in that discussion with you guys that day, this week when I had my discussion with Sweetwater about doing the giveaway for the guitar and doing some other videos for the channel, some products, I said, I mentioned to my viewers that I like this way, I have this like travel rig that I like. And so I'm doing the video called The Ultimate Travel Rig. I'm going to go through all the stuff that I did. So to let you know, I'll be going through all this stuff, what headphones I use, everything I use, why I use it, and what rig I use and stuff like that. But for you, headphone amps, man, there's tons of great headphone amps out there. I would just set my price point about $100, and I bet you the world is your oyster, so to speak. You can find all kinds of stuff. Me personally, like I said, I don't use any of that stuff because ultimately, and that's what I'll say in this video coming up, everything I do is either plugged into a tablet or a computer. So at that point, that's where I want everything at. I want to centralize my stuff. I don't go anywhere where I can actually play a guitar without my laptop. So because I have my laptop, I want my laptop to be everything. So I use my software on my laptop. I use my interface to my laptop. I use everything that goes to my laptop. So I know a lot of you are looking for something small and portable. And I just don't need that, for headphones. So there you go. And then Sash said, Super Chat, worth it. You're right. I would sit on the wall and never would play it. He's talking about their Harmony V, saving some money in the upgrading. You know what? Yeah. You know what it is? Like I said, I understand the impulse to want to, look, you always want to go back. But like I said, I find very rarely can you go back. Okay, it's basically into the show. I have, let's just say we'll have 2 minutes because I know I said the last one would be Sasha, but we got 2 super chats and I want to hit those 2, and then that's the end. So I can go spend some time, and then next week I'll tell you what I did with the family. I'm very excited about. Philip T says, how much of a difference would there be between an aftermarket bridge and nut, both Graphtec, not Tuck, Graphtec, versus the factory Gibson ones, Corian and Nashville Tunematic? Well, there's not a quality difference, man. That's not what you're going to get from this. It's not like, that was crap and this is good. It's just going to be a slight tone variance and a slight variance. I wouldn't do it. There's tons of players that do it. I have no desire to change any of the normal parts on my Gibson guitars. None of them. All of my Gibsons are stock. To me, if I'm going to, and maybe you don't have as many guitars or, a lot of guitars. I have a lot of guitars. So to me, I would spend time on a Squier fixing that up before I'll fix up the nice guitars. I have a different philosophy for that. Some people are like, hey, I only put money in the good guitars. I'm not going to put money in a junk guitar. To me, that's where I want to put the money because I can make the Squier be awesome if I put in a new nut or do a couple new upgrades, where I expect, hopefully, that if I'm at the tier of Gibson or Fender or PRS or all this stuff, that stuff's adequate and I don't have to change things out. So I change things out only when they go bad or if I specifically do not like them. You know what I mean? That does happen. Sometimes I'm just really unhappy with something. That happens. But otherwise, no, I leave that stuff alone. And then your mother, I'm not telling you guys off. That's the name. Your mother says, hey, Phil, love the channel. Just dug out my Bujera 6262. I wonder what that amp is. 6262. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, that's a great sounding amp that has the 5150 vibe. It says, amp, and wanting to replace the tubes. If I get the same tubes as before, will it need to be rebiased? Well, first of all, my first advice is don't replace your tubes unless you have a problem. Everyone that I know that builds tube amps that I've talked to, the majority of them, seem to lean towards the don't fix it if it's not broken. They all will argue, yes, if you buy nicer tubes, sometimes there's better things, and the tubes have different tonalities to them and different vibes, and they go into this, but here's what I learned from them, listening to them, interact with them, and myself. If you want to be a tube connoisseur and you want to try all the tubes and learn about tubes, and if your argument is, Phil, you just don't understand tubes, you're right. And if you're like, hey man, these tubes are, I like the sound of these tubes and this amp and this, that means you're informed and you should make those decisions. If you're just like, hey, I think I want to upgrade tubes because, it's like, they probably put cheaper tubes in that amp. My guess is I probably wouldn't spend the money. I'll be honest with you. We talked about Glenn Fricker's video a couple weeks ago and him talking about speakers and stuff. And I would definitely agree with that statement. We were talking about like what I agreed with and what I didn't really care about, when he was talking about that stuff. I didn't disagree with anything he said. I just said stuff I agree with and stuff I don't care about. I will definitely agree with this point. If you're asking me if you don't have defective tubes or issues, would I buy tubes for one of my amps before I would buy a better speaker or a better cabinet or a pedal? No, man, I'm not buying tubes. That's last. In my experience, and like I said, there's some people that are going to put comments like, hey, man, these are the best tubes to get, and this is the only way to do it. And they're not wrong because they really listen to tubes. Me, if somebody came in tonight and changed all the tubes in my amp, I would be really shocked how much I could tell the next day. Right? I'm sure if I took out tubes and put tubes in and A-B'd them, I'd be like, oh, it's brighter now or clearer. Ooh, I didn't hear it so articulate before. Sure. But would I notice that if no one told me? I not a lot, not enough to go, oh, something went wrong. So that's what I would say. I would hold off if it was me. And that's just my opinion. On that note, I'm going to let you guys go. We did a giveaway. We gave away a guitar crate. Like I said, check out the links I put down below if you want to get that 15% off his pedals and other things. And of course, you can think about that for Christmas. We're going to be 10 of those. TJ agreed to do 10 of those things. Man, that's a good chunk of money. So every week for the next 9 more weeks after this, we're going to give away a guitar crate. Thank Guitar Crate for doing that, for hooking you guys up, and obviously hooking up a moderator with that, and I appreciate that. And if you guys check out the links, if there's anything you can do use from the links, I don't even know what I put down in the links now. And on that note, I will tell you guys next Friday what me and my family did that was so exciting. It had me in such a good mood. Until next week, thank you for your time. Oh, next week we'll be on time, 3:00. It won't be early like today. And as always, thank you for your time and know your gear. And then this is where I got to stumble to find the button that ends the show.